Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys all doing? It's so nice to see you guys again. So today I'm coming to you guys with a spring Q&A. I'm thinking of starting this kind of series where I do like a seasonal Q&A. So spring, summer, autumn, winter. You guys can just ask me any questions you have, any burning questions that have been building up throughout the year, and I can just give you guys my advice and my opinions on them. I'm super excited to answer all your questions. I asked all these questions on Snapchat. If you don't have me on Snapchat, what are you doing? Make sure you add me. I'm imani shola on everything: Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. So grab your phone and add your girl. So there's quite a few questions, so let's get straight into it. Grab a cup of tea, as I always say, and I hope that you enjoy this video. So the first question is from Ruben E on Snapchat, and Ruben asked, what's it like studying French and Spanish? Is it hard doing both, and what grades do you get? So for those of you guys who don't know, I study French and Spanish. So French is from post A-level, so I did that up to A-level. Spanish is beginners, so I started that from scratch in my first year, although I did have a Gcse in Spanish, but that hasn't really, I'm not gonna lie, it hasn't really helped me with my degree. What's it like? It is absolutely amazing. Honestly guys, I can say with my whole heart, I love my course, and that is such a blessing, because I think it's so important for you guys that are choosing your courses at the moment. Choose something that you love. Choose something that you have a passion for, because that will carry you in those moments where you're lacking motivation. Like, everyone knows that when you're studying, there are going to be seasons where you're not motivated to study. So my best advice would honestly be, choose a subject that you genuinely love. Like, I'm so glad that I made that decision, because French and Spanish, I've always been nerdy about languages, literally from when I was tiny. I remember like my mum had like this book she bought me. It was called My First 100 Words in French, and it had like all the colours and numbers and like all the rooms in the house, you know, the basic stuff. But that was when I was like 6, so I had this interest in languages from young, and that just built and built. So now to be age 20 studying it at university is absolutely fantastic. The Cambridge course is fantastic as well. I think there's a question coming up about the Cambridge course specifically for, it's called MML, Modern and Medieval Languages, so I'll go into that a bit then. But just in general, what's it like studying the subject I love? Absolutely amazing. Is it hard to do both, and what grades do I get? So in terms of grades, last year I got a 1st in French and a 2-1 in beginner Spanish. Whoop, whoop. And is it hard doing both? I don't actually find it that hard doing both. I don't know, I've never really found it hard. I think because I did French and Spanish GCSE, I kind of was used to doing 2 languages at once. So the next question is from Lordina. She asked me on Snapchat, how do you avoid being around fake people and cut them out of your life? This is such a good question. I feel like as you get older, I really sound like I'm like an old woman, like giving wise words like back in my day. But I feel like as you get older, you really just develop like a zero tolerance for fake people, for inauthentic people, for two-faced people, for people who are not for you. How do you avoid fake people? I feel like you can kind of read people's vibes, and I think people's vibes speak a lot louder than their words, and their actions do as well. But I think vibes can even speak louder than actions, because someone can do something that can be what a friend would do, but actually the way they do it shows you you're not really for me. So I think just be very careful and intentional about who you hang around. And actually what I'm learning is that the people you hang around really do rub off on you. You become more and more like the people you hang around. And there's a famous saying that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your character. It's actually so true. So avoid being around people who give off the vibe that they are not for you. Next question is from Elena P. She said, how did you choose between Oxford and Cambridge? Do you have any tips for someone who wants to pursue French at university? Did I even consider Oxford? I don't think I considered Oxford. No, I went to an open day for languages at Oxford, and I don't know what it was. I just always preferred Cambridge. I feel like Cambridge is, well, obviously I'm kind of biased. If there's any Oxford students watching, they're going to be like, what? But I personally feel like Cambridge is a lot more vibrant, alive. I just prefer the city, the town. I feel like sometimes you can visit a place and you can just feel at home there, and that's definitely what I got from Cambridge. Certainly I made the decision based on where do I feel most at home, because I could study French and Spanish anywhere, to be honest, because the subject was my favorite. Like, it was my favorite subject to study, so that wasn't really my priority. So Alina also asked, do you have any tips for someone who wants to pursue French at university? I think the #1 tip I can give you is reading. So my personal statement, when we were writing our personal statements, one of the key things that admissions tutors were looking out for when they were reading them was what we read and what we had read in our spare time. What have you done outside of school that can aid your application? So, you know, if you're looking to study French, find some French literature that you find interesting and read it. Keep up to date with current affairs, you know, French current affairs or current affairs in the French speaking world. Do things in your spare time that will build your language skills as well. So I watch a lot of YouTube videos in French, whether that's makeup tutorials, whether that's story times, whether that's get ready with me's, whatever it is. I do all that in French, and I tend to do that like around my oral exam times as well. And you are watching something that's interesting to you, and where you're learning something, and you know, something that's kind of young and hip and that you do in English anyway, but at the same time you're improving your French skills, and it's absolutely incredible. And you learn a lot of slang and a lot of kind of young language as well. And you do not have to travel to the country, you don't have to have money to travel to the country in order to do well in French. I have hardly been to France. Hardly been to France. One thing that's awesome about studying languages at university is that you do get a year abroad. I think most universities in the UK, their languages courses have a year abroad. So yeah, my year abroad is starting this year, guys. We are going to be moving to France. The whole family, all 5,000 of us, are going to be moving to France in like summer. So we're going to be there until next summer. So that's going to be lit. I'm basically going to be in Paris for a year. That's so awesome. I'm so excited to take you guys with me. I still have to figure out like what I'm going to do, like vlogs. I'll just have to figure all that out. Do you want videos in French? Oh, let's spice it up a bit. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'm so excited for us to move to Paris. Abi Sola. I feel like I've said this so wrong. I've got so many Nigerian friends. Most of my friends are like Nigerian, so I'm not even going to try and pronounce it with the Nigerian dialect. But Abisola from Florida asked me, what is some of your favourite worship and gospel music, and who is your celebrity crush? One thing I'm going to say is Abisola actually sent me a snap, like a video snap, and honestly, I don't know what it was, but she's from Florida, right? Shout out to Abisola if you're watching this. You guys in Florida have the most beautiful accent. Honestly, I was watching it and I was just like, my heart, like, it was just, I don't know how you speak, but I'm not going to try and imitate it because I do not want to offend people with how rubbish my impression of a Florida accent is. But honestly, you guys have the most beautiful accent, like, yeah. But to be honest, I just find accents beautiful in general. So a Canadian will probably message me now and be like, hey Imani, like in your accent. I'll be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I love accents, hence why I'm studying languages. Anyway, Abisola asked me, what is some of your favourite worship and gospel music, and who is your celebrity crush? Favourite worship and gospel music, oh my gosh, there's so many. And do you know what, this is so funny. I was watching Nissy T's Q&A. Nissy T just did a Q&A. If y'all don't know Nissy T, where you been? She's the queen. I love her so much. My sister, I'll link her channel down below. She got asked the exact same question, and her answer was exactly the same. It was like, there's honestly too many good gospel songs and gospel artists to recommend to you guys. I have music for every season, for every emotion, but it's kind of a collection that's been building up because I've been listening to gospel music my whole life. I don't really listen to secular music that much. So what is some of my favourite gospel music? My all-time favourite artists and the artists who really got me into gospel music in the first place are Mary Mary. So some of their jams include Walking, Get Up, God in Me. Israel Houghton is really, really good as well. Travis Green, CeCe Winans. Oh, do you know who I love? I love Darwin Hobbs. The thing about Darwin Hobbs is his music is so like, it's so modern. Like it's actually stuff that you could literally listen to like in a club. Kiara Sheard, Lecrae, that's kind of R&B gospel. In terms of worship music that I love listening to, my #1 music artist it's Bethel, the group Bethel Music. Abisola also asked me, who is your celebrity crush? And my #1 answer has got to be Michael Ealy. Gcse asked me, how do you build godly friendships? This is such a good question. I think the best place to find godly friends is at church. Well, that's for me anyway, from my experience. All my best godly friends have been found at church or at like Christian events. And then to build those friendships, it's just kind of the same as building any other friendships, really. You know, spend time with the people, get to know them. The great thing about godly friendships is you can also spend time talking about God's word, you can do Bible studies, you can pray together, and you know, there is something so precious about a friendship which isn't just surface level friendship, it's actually spiritual level as well. That's such a precious thing. Just invest time in the friendships, get to know the people for who they are, but also, you know, the advantage you have, it being that it's a godly friendship, is that you can also get to know them spiritually and find out where they're at in their walk with Christ, and you can build each other up. Naomi asked me, how do you find the motivation to revise when nothing seems to be going in? I think the main motivation for revision for me comes from the fact that I just want to do well, and I want to do well for myself. First and foremost, you are number one in terms of you want to do well for yourself, and doing well for your family flows out of that and is a bonus. When nothing seems to be going in, I think it's important to, if you're in the middle of a revision session and nothing's going in, take a break. Juliet asked me, hi Imani, I just watched, I can't read, let me try again. Juliet asked me, hi Imani, I just watched and loved your video on academic success in 2017. I wanted to ask, how many hours should I revise daily over Easter, and how many hours should I work at a time? Also, about studying languages at Cambridge, is it very literature heavy? Did you study both French and Spanish at A-level? And do you think they would frown upon me applying for modern and medieval languages, that's French and Spanish at Cambridge, or any languages at Cambridge, if I'm fluent in one of the languages? Okay, let's start from number one. So in answer to your first two questions, I would definitely recommend that you go and check out my Revision 101 video, because I went into all of that stuff in a lot of detail in that. But as a general rule, it's really what works for you, and it depends very much on how much you have to revise altogether, and how much time you have to revise as well altogether, but also how long you're able to stay focused for at a time. There's no point me telling you revise 9 hours a day if you can only stay focused for 5 hours a day. So then Juliet asked me about the languages course at Cambridge. Is it very literature heavy? It is quite literature heavy. I feel like first year was a lot harder than second year, actually, in terms of we did I think it was 6 texts for French, and these are like full-on novels that we had to know for the exam, and 4 texts for Spanish. Now bear in mind, we're doing Spanish from beginners, so you are coming in with no knowledge of the language, and by the end you're doing exams on 4 novels in Spanish. Did I study both French and Spanish at A-level? I did not. I studied French and Spanish at GCSE, that was International GCSE, and I studied French at A-level. Do you think they would frown upon me applying for modern and medieval languages if I'm already fluent in one of the languages? Honestly, there are a lot of people on my course who are already fluent in one of the languages. There are people on the beginner Spanish course who are fluent in Spanish, but they can do it from beginners because they don't have the A-level in it. They're just, you know, their family is a Spanish speaking family, so they don't look down upon that, they don't frown down upon that, and actually it kind of helps, you know, when I've got friends who are fluent in Spanish, I just talk to them in Spanish and it helps me revise. So another question I got asked is, what grades did you get for A-level and GCSE? I got 10 A stars at GCSE, and at A-level I got 3 A stars. What subjects did I do? I did, oh my gosh, let me see if I can remember. GCSE I did English literature, English language, history, French, Spanish, drama, biology, chemistry, physics, maths. Yeah, that was what I did. And then for A-level I did English literature, history and French, and I did biology for AS level, which was the first year of A-level, and I hated biology with a passion, and I was so glad I got to drop it for second year. I was not built to study science, guys. That's just not my portion. Esther on Snapchat said, do you have any regrets about being at Cambridge, and do you think being a person of colour at a majority white university takes away from your experience? I really love questions like this. Thank you so much, Esther. So she said, first of all, do you have any regrets about being at Cambridge? I don't. Do you know what? I really don't. I think, you know, honestly, my story is quite interesting because I was never really a student that was bent on getting into Cambridge from a young age. I kind of was just kind of a bit like, well, I'll apply and see what happens. But I really wanted to go to Warwick. All my best friends are at Warwick, well, a lot of my best friends are at Warwick, and so, you know, it would have been a lot more fun in some ways to go to Warwick. And the social life at Cambridge can sometimes feel a little bit dead in comparison to, you know, when you're on Snapchat and you see all your friends are like turning up at all the different universities across the UK, and then you're just there like, yay, I'm revising medieval French, whoop. That can be a bit like, oh, but you know what, I've never really been that much of a party animal anyway, so I'm not really missing out on much when I don't party, and I get to see my girls in the holidays, so it's fine, we get to catch up. So do I regret Cambridge? Not at all. I love my course. I think the quality of teaching here is excellent. I think the city is beautiful. I think the people here are wonderful. I've made some incredible friends here, and yeah, I love it. I love it, and I'm so blessed and grateful to be here. And this is why I encourage so many of you guys to apply. This is why I have my channel, and I encourage you guys to apply. And do I think being a person of colour at a majority white university takes away from my experience? No, I don't think it does. I have never experienced any racism or microaggressions. I am aware that I'm a minority. There are not that many black people at Cambridge at all. We are definitely a minority, and as a Caribbean woman as well, a woman of Caribbean descent, I am we are extremely rare, like, because the African Caribbean society is mainly Africans and tiny portion Caribbeans, which I think is the case at quite a lot of universities actually, from what I'm gauging from my friends. I don't see that it takes away from my experience. Actually, I feel like it adds to my experience in that I'm learning how to interact with a lot of people who are different to me. When there are not many people who are like you, you are forced to interact with people who are different to you, and that is a blessing, and that's something that I know God's going to use when I'm older in terms of, you know, interacting with a variety of people. So I don't think it takes away from my experience. Obviously, I can only speak for myself. There are people who have experienced racism, and, you know, that's rubbish. It's trash. No one likes that. Well, some people do, but none of us like that, right? We're normal people. So yeah, that, I know it exists, I know it can happen, but I personally have never experienced it, and I'm so grateful to God that I haven't. Myrna Adley asked me, and this was actually in a comment on a video I did with Nissy. She said, hey Marnie, you mentioned that you had certain experiences in your life that made you believe in God. Can you please share these experiences? I would love to hear your stories. I love this question. I love this question. To be honest, any question where I get to talk about God, I love. So yeah, experiences in my life that made me believe in God. Well, to be honest, I think my belief in God began from a really young age, and I am really grateful for this, and I'm aware not everyone has this, but I was raised in a family that believed in a creator. When I was younger, we believed in a creator, and then my mum kind of became more serious about going to church, and so we started going to church together, and then my relationship with God grew, and, you know, so I was kind of raised in the church from like age 6, 7, and so I already had that belief, but then I kind of went through situations where the thing that got me through was my faith in God. And so when you go through situations where the thing that gets you through is your faith, you get to a point where you can't not believe in God, because he is the reason why you've made it through experiences. There have just been things that, you know, little things I can't even name, like you'll pray for something and it happens. I don't believe in coincidences, and, you know, I go to a park, like I said in the video with Nissy, and I see a leaf. And I'm the kind of person who will see a leaf and be intrigued. Like, it's so weird. But just the beauty of that piece of nature and the way everything works together. I don't believe we're here by accident. I think the fact we even question if we have purpose shows that we have a desire. You know, there's a longing for there to be more than just what we see physically. And so, yeah, it's all that mixed together. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I think when you've grown up with faith being your fuel, and, you know, seeing things come together and work together for your good, and when you know the God of the Bible, and you know that he is not about religion. He is not about religion. Christianity is not about religion. It is relationship with the creator of the universe and the creator of you. Intimate relationship where he loves you so deeply and dearly, and no matter what your flaws are, he just wants to love you and love on you. I just love him. I love him, and I can't help but believe in him. Darky.knx asked me on Snapchat, "Hi Imani, I love your YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask, what are your best tips for not being stressed out about exams, and are your predicted grades important? Thank you, love Lynn, a big fan of yours." Okay, so your name's Lynn, awesome. Hey Lynn, best tips for not being stressed out about exams. Number one for me is always to pray about exams, commit the whole season to God. That just lightens the whole load, and I'm like, you know what, whatever happens, God designed it to happen. God is in control. I don't need to worry about that. So that is the first thing that I do. All you have to do, and I pray this reassures some people watching this for exam season, all you have got to do is revise as best you can, and in the exam do the best you can. Are your predicted grades important? They were for me. I don't know how things are working now, because I know GCSEs have changed up and now you guys are graded from like 1 to 9. I would say if predicted grades exist, they probably are important. But I don't think they're the be all and end all, because they are predicted as well. You know, keep an open mind. They are predicted grades. They're not you know, set in stone, and because they're predicted, there is the hope and the belief that you can achieve them and better. Rachel A asked me, as a young believer, what godly things can we do during the season of singleness? Hallelujah, this is my favorite topic to talk about. How can we make ourselves feel better about being single, and where can we find godly partners, because it feels like godly potential partners do not exist? Shout out to you, Rachel. I think the most godly thing you can do during the season of singleness, and actually during any season of your life, is to focus on God. That's the most godly thing you can do. Focus on God, focus on what He's calling you to do, focus on your purpose, focus on your calling, focus on your kingdom assignments. Girl or boy, if you're watching this and you're single, you are on an assignment. God has put seeds in you, planted seeds in you that need to grow. Ask God, spend time with Him, read the Bible. And then she also asked me, where can we find godly partners, because it feels like godly partners don't exist. Well, I suppose church is the best place, Christian events, just wherever you are as a godly person is wherever you'll find other godly people. And the last question is from Helen Angela, and she said to me, "Hey girl, I love your videos so much." Thank you so much, Helen. "I've recently been dealing with a lot of stress with my friendships. I practically feel like an anomaly and it sucks. The main problem is I always get left out in my friendships and I never have a strong bond with anyone. I was wondering if you could give me some advice and wisdom. God bless." Honestly, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. You being an anomaly means you are different. It means you are different and unique in your own way. And that is such a blessing. That's such a precious thing. And you know, I did my video with Nissy a couple weeks ago, and we said, you know, your differences can either be your greatest asset or your greatest insecurity. And when you embrace them as your greatest asset and you invest in them and you learn to treasure and cherish them and surround yourself with people who appreciate you for them, you flourish. Know that you have a friend in Jesus Christ, and He is the best friend you could ever need. And even if you're not involved in that clique, you involved in the clique of God, the Holy Spirit, and Lord Jesus. Okay, that's the only clique you need. So guys, that is the end of this Q&A. I don't know how long it was, but I just can talk for years. You guys know this already. Make sure you add me on all my social media, because I really want to connect with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you very, very, very soon. Love you guys. Bye.
Make money.